From 2004 and through the first half of 2007, Citigroup earned $74 billion in profit. That's pretty impressive. However, from 2007 through the present, Citigroup lost $94 billion. That is the textbook case of unsustainable profit, which of course came out of their risky adventures in the derivatives and subprime markets. Second, conscious capitalists believe that business is a system. This is their kind of core philosophy. Business is a system, it's a whole. And if the whole is to succeed, we have to honor and we have to take into consideration all of the components of the system, the customers, the employees, the suppliers even, the investors most certainly, and on down the line through communities and ultimately the planet on which we live. So conscious capitalists say, because we got everybody on board, because you've got to be a very, very good manager to juggle all of those constituencies, we might even make more money than you traditional capitalists. Heresy, say the Friedmanites. Maybe, maybe not. There's a growing body of evidence that says that companies that honor their stakeholders create superior financial performance. I've got 3 studies up here. I want to go through them quickly. Towers Perrin studied 25 companies over the long term. That was a 15-year study. And they found that these companies beat the S&P 500, the kind of snapshot of American business, and excuse me for using a couple of American examples. I try to be global when I can find the research. Beat the S&P 500 by 126%. Goldman Sachs has started evaluating the companies that they cover, until now a very traditional capitalist company, according to ESG, environmental, governance, social standards. They found that the companies that measure up highly to those ESG standards, which are exactly the proxy for stakeholder capitalism and conscious capitalism, outperform their peers by 25%. These were European companies. This is out of the London office of Goldman Sachs, and these were largely European companies, a few other global companies thrown in. I want to tell you about a book called Firms of Endearment, which did some amazing research that included studying 28 companies, global companies with a bit of an American prejudice. Over the course of a 10-year period, these companies that were managed for stakeholder excellence as well as for profit outperformed the S&P 500 by 100% for the S&P 500 to 1,111%. So as I look at this research, I think to myself, how good is the shareholder model for shareholder interests? And my answer is not so good. Not so good. However, there's a great quote that is attributed to Goldman Sachs, and we talked about greed. Goldman Sachs says, I would never advocate greed, but I have to smile when they say this. Greed is okay as long as it's long-term greed.
The distance between the richest and the poorest has grown phenomenally. The seven richest individuals before the financial crisis were richer than the 20 poorest countries.
Today, the Oslo Business for Peace Award will be handed out for the first time. The initiative for the award comes from the Business for Peace Foundation, based here in Oslo. The aim of the award is to encourage people around the world to be conscious of the role they can play in business affairs to foster peace and stability.
Compared to just a decade ago, it is now common for business people to talk about social responsibility and the importance of being good corporate citizens. Many business leaders today consider it critical to engage with shareholders, the communities in which their companies operate, and others affected by and interested in what they do, often called CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility, including the necessity for adequate corporate governance structures, the implementation of workplace safety standards, the adoption of environmental sustainable procedures, and philanthropy. This is excellent. But for me, the Oslo Award, given by the Business for Peace Foundation, takes business responsibility to an even higher third level, establishing a new imperative for business, a level we at the World Economic Forum have called global corporate citizenship. It expresses the conviction that companies should not only engage with their stakeholders, but are themselves stakeholders, together with governments and civil society. International business leaders must fully commit to sustainable development and address paramount global challenges, including climate change, the provision of public health care, energy conservation, enhanced trade with LDCs, the least developing countries, and thereby contribute to poverty alleviation and mitigating the risk of humanitarian crisis, failed nation states, armed conflicts, and wars. These global issues increasingly impact business. Not to engage can also hurt the bottom line. Because the global citizenship is a corporation's enlightened self-interest, it is sustainable. Addressing global issues is a requisite for both the corporation and for society in a time of flux and volatility. Hence, the Oslo Award could not be more timely. The Oslo Award, given annually to the business person that through actions and commitments is outstandingly promoting the interdependent relationship between business and peace. The business person is acting as an example to the general public and an inspiration to the business community by showing how to achieve a success in business through an aware, ethical business practice. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to hand over the floor to the true entrepreneur and initiator of this summit and award, Per L. Saksegård, a true businessman, philanthropist, and a friend.